What's going on, everybody? C4 here doing player grades. Oh, God, don't want to be here. Got to talk about it, though. Very upset. Detroit beat the Eagles 27-24. Got a lot to get off our chest here today. Detroit played good, honestly. Like, when we played the Falcons, you could clearly say that it was the injuries are the reason why Philly didn't come away with a victory, I guess you could say. It's not the reason why they lost, but the fact that Deshaun Jackson and Alshon got hurt during the warm-ups. It wasn't like they were hurt and then you could practice all week with, Arcega, Whiteside, and Aguilar as your starters. Like, Philly's entire game plan got scrapped from the opening snap last week. They still almost won. And then this week, 7 drops. I thought that we would get Aguilar back, or Alshon back. He was a game-time decision. Didn't play. So pretty much we had Miles Sanders and Nelson Aguilar and Mac Hollins were our 3 wide receivers for the most part. We had some bad drops, 7 drops. Dallas Goedert. I mean, we eventually got a touchdown anyways, which kind of negated a little bit. But Dallas Goedert had like a horrendous drop. I've never seen him drop a pass. It's just when it rains, it pours for the Philadelphia Eagles offense. Aguilar had 8 catches, 50 yards, 2 touchdowns. Don't get it twisted, man. He did not have a strong game. Had a fumble loss. They gave up a kick return for a touchdown. Of course, Andrew Sendeja, who's been garbage. He was the guy that blown the coverage on that kickoff. Miles Sanders had 2 fumbles. One of them was lost. They just refused to give the ball to Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard is by far and away the most efficient running back on this team. So again, it comes down to like my general issues with the Philadelphia Eagles have been Deuce Staley's play calling on offense. His running back rotation has been weird. Like Miles Sanders made some good plays. I don't get it wrong. But clearly Jordan Howard should be that hot hand of the backfield, and they're just ignoring. They're just refusing to play it. I don't know why. It's so goddamn annoying. So Philly had 7 drop. Okay, so you're missing Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. So you're missing your wide receiver 1, your wide receiver 2. Dallas Goedert literally didn't play very much, and when he did, obviously he sucked, but he pretty much didn't play the whole first half. So when you have that going for you, you have to play your backups. Mac Hollins, Nelson Aguilar, J.J. Arcega, Whiteside, they had drops. We had no speed. You throw in the fact that there was, 3 offensive pass interference calls from the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, they did everything they possibly could to not be in this game, and they still came down to the last play. Malcolm Jenkins got an unreal field goal block. And then, obviously, we couldn't count. We couldn't, I don't think there's a team in the National Football League that could win missing their wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. Like, literally, I'm looking at it right now. Could Carolina? No. Arizona couldn't. Giants couldn't. Tampa couldn't. Chargers couldn't. Texans couldn't. Saints couldn't. Seahawks couldn't. Niners couldn't. Steelers couldn't. Maybe the Rams, because they have so much. Maybe the Rams. Cleveland? Maybe. Maybe Cleveland. Cincinnati couldn't. Buffalo couldn't. Dallas couldn't. Miami couldn't. Denver couldn't. Green Bay couldn't. Indy couldn't. ATL couldn't. Baltimore or Kansas City couldn't. You have the Raiders, Vikings, nope. Jets, Patriots, maybe the Patriots just because they'd find a way to pick up a tight end off the street. So there's maybe 3 teams, and even that's pushing it because Cleveland has been pretty overrated to start the year. I'll say the Rams and the Patriots are probably the only 2 teams that might have a chance to still have some form of balance on offense, missing their top 2 wide receivers. So I mean, understanding that. My expectations, okay, I was going to bet. I was honestly, when I was looking this week, I didn't place any bets on the NFL. The only one that looked appealing was just taking Detroit to win outright in Philadelphia. I think there was 3.4 or something like that. If you're just going money line, that was the only bit I wanted to do. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't have the heart to go against the Philadelphia Eagles. I didn't feel confident going in this game. They could have won it, sure, because Detroit's, maybe for pretty much the whole Matt Stafford era, incredibly bipolar. You never know what kind of Detroit you're going to get. You can get a Detroit that can beat Philly, that can beat New England last year, and then they'll go and lose by 40 to the Bengals or something stupid like that. So, it's not a great way to open it, but my expectations were not overly high for this game, so I feel like that reflects in my general feeling right now of just, it is what it is. Philly is overrated, and we're going to do our grades. I'm going to give you my final thought because I think it's a big issue. So if you look at the Eagles, Carson Wentz was 19 of 36, 259, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Real good. Carson Wentz give him an A. He gets an A. He had, the announcing team in this game was Tom Brennan and Chris Spielman. They were actually really bad. Chris Spielman was hammering on Carson Wentz having an overthrow on Mac Hollins in the end zone. He's like, oh, he should have had Mac Hollins. No, he shouldn't. Mac Hollins would not have caught that if he was doing what Spielman should. It was a really, really bad commentary team. But anyway, Carson Wentz was really good. Should have had, like I said, probably should have had 3 touchdowns in this game if we didn't have 7 drops. Oh my God, we got a short week next week. We play Thursday against the Green Bay. Is gonna destroy us. They're gonna absolutely destroy us. It's not good. Then again, when you start thinking about that for the Philadelphia Eagles, like, oh, we're gonna get destroyed. That is for whatever reason when the defense starts playing well. Like when the defense is expected to do good, they play like dog shit. But when we're like, oh no, man, Philly's probably gonna get smoked by Green Bay. Watch them hold Green Bay to like 13 points, something stupid like that. But for the grades, yeah, I'm going to give Carson Wentz an A. For the running backs, Miles Sanders, 13 carries, 53 yards. Jordan Howard had 37 yards and a touchdown. Wentz had 33 yards. I like seeing Carson Wentz scramble a little bit more. He wasn't getting rocked or rattled or any of them, too. He was being protective and scrambling when he had to. Jordan Howard looked good. He got 11 carries. I would probably he just needs to be the lead back. Miles Sanders looks good in spurts. He should not be leading with 13. I think for right now, for what I've seen for these running backs, if we're just saying Darren Sproles got 2, so that's 15. So that's 26. If we have about 25 running attempts a game, I think Jordan Howard needs to be getting at least 15 of them, and then you start divvying up the rest of the carries for the rest of the running backs. Miles Sanders will get a C. He had some explosive plays. He had 2 catches for 73 yards. He also had 2 fumbles. That cannot happen. So he's getting a C. Jordan Howard, B+, needs more carries. You look at the receivers. Sanders actually led the team with 73 yards, which is, pretty indicative of what we were missing on the outside. Zach Ertz, 4 catches, 64 yards. He was solid. Mac Hollins, 4 for 62, had some drops. Nelson Aguilar, 8 for 50, 2 touchdowns, but, can't just look at the score line there. He had some drops, had a fumble that was costly. Arcega-Whiteside's not doing a whole lot for a second-round pick that I was indifferent about when we made that selection out of Stanford. I thought, you know what? It's kind of a luxury pick, getting a guy like Arcega-Whiteside, but you make this selection of getting Arcega-Whiteside, being like, oh, why'd they draft him? They have Alshon Jeffrey, and they just brought in they have Alshon Jeffrey, and they just brought in Deshaun Jackson. Well, you draft him, and I know it's a lot to expect at a rookie receiver, but you draft him so that if there is injuries like we're going through right now, he's a guy that can step up and make big plays because he's a second-round pick, and he's not doing that. Through 2 weeks, Arcega-Whiteside's done absolutely nothing. Now, I can't comment as to, he had 3 targets this game. That's not a whole lot. He's not working with a lot, but I don't know, man. And I guess technically speaking, Arcega-Whiteside had a touchdown called back. Philly made them jump offside. Carson Wentz kept playing the play. They threw it Arcega-Whiteside. I'm pretty sure it was a touchdown, but they blew the play dead because I guess if your name's not Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, they're going to not let you get those free plays at the line of scrimmage. Receivers today, though, 7 drops. Inexplicable. They're getting an F. Straight up. I mean, I don't want to group in Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz actually played pretty well. So wide receivers are getting an F. Ertz was fine. So we go to the defense. The defensive side, Ronald Darby had 6 tackles, and then I think he got benched. They said it was his hamstring or something like that. We need Jalen Ramsey, man. And we'll get to that at the very end. Defense, Malcolm Jenkins was outstanding. Malcolm Jenkins gets the game ball. He was making a lot of pass breakups, blocked the field goal attempt. We had Rasul Douglas, 2 tackles. Rasul actually looked fairly good. I didn't see him get toasted once. Sendejo's garbage. Najee Bradham probably had his best game of the season so far. Is Fletcher Cox playing? I don't know. Is Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham playing right now? Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you through 3 weeks if either of those guys are playing. Actually, BG had an okay game 2 weeks ago. So defense gets, I'll say, C, probably a C grade, C minus. And it comes down to my closing thought here on the Philadelphia Eagles is, every one of their dog wants Jalen Ramsey. I don't know if the Jaguars are going to trade him. They already came out and said the Jags aren't really open to trading him. I think there's a price that can be met that's not going to be ridiculous. Philadelphia, and I think I made this in a pretty long tweet. Philadelphia is built. This whole roster has been built. The Super Bowl roster, we're still on the same roster formula that won the Super Bowl in that we pay our defensive line so much money that we have to have cheap cornerbacks. And the logic of that is the defensive line is always going to be applying pressure that it makes your cornerback's jobs easier, which the last 2 years, outside of really Fletcher Cox, and now we got rid of Michael Bennett, who was our best edge rusher last year, really for the most part, these last 2 years, this Philadelphia defensive line has not been playing very well. And when that defensive line that's getting paid a lot of money is not playing well, those corners that are cheap are going to look like you're going to get exposed to having cheap corners, and that's kind of what we've been having. Ronald Darby has been absolute garbage. Sendejo, we brought him as a free agent. He's getting a lot of playing time. He's been garbage. Sidney Jones has been garbage. Rodney McLeod, I'd say, He's the big hitter of that secondary. He's the kind of guy you might be an occasional forced fumble or like just huge hit set the tone. He's done nothing. Rasul Douglas has probably been the only positive in our secondary, and even him, he still got burned once or twice. Definitely got burnt by Terry McLaurin in that opening game against the Redskins. So, Avonte Maddox, he's been quiet, I guess you could say. So when you look at this Philadelphia Eagles team right now, obviously, offensively, things come down to the wide receivers. I can't tell. We could very well. I would say my gut. I don't want to be that guy saying, "Oh, we'd win every game." If Philadelphia had Alshon and Deshaun both games, last week against Atlanta, this week against Detroit, from how the games went, we're probably 3-0, and that would mask a lot of the issues. But the reason why the offense isn't getting going is slow starts in the first half, so play calling, which was an issue last year, and the injuries at wide receiver. You just, like I said, we listed off all the teams. There's maybe one or two teams that could remain competitive missing their top 2 wide receivers, excluding the Eagles, who are remaining competitive without missing their top 2 wide receivers. So it's expected that the Eagles' offense is going to struggle. Where's this defense? And the defense is incredibly overrated right now. Like, they're getting by on name value. Brandon Graham has done shit all. Fletcher Cox through 3 games. He's coming off an injury. Yeah, but you're out there playing. You've done shit all. So this defensive line is not doing anything. And I think ultimately that's the biggest shock to me. The shock is not that the offense is struggling, missing Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. That's expected. The shock is not Eagles starting off slow. That was an issue last year, and it's probably reflected the fact that Mike Groh is an absolute useless moron as an offensive coordinator. These game plans, these opening game scripts, the first 10, 15 plays that are scripted throughout the week that Doug Peterson works with, Deuce Staley and Mike Groh. Deuce Staley and Mike Groh are absolute idiots and need to get as far away from our offense as humanly possible, but it's expected. The thing that's the biggest issue is this defensive line is incredibly overrated, and that is causing everything on the defense from the back end on to look like dog shit and not work. So Philadelphia falls to 1-2. We got a short week, Thursday night football against the Green Bay Packers. That is going to be, I guess we could be optimistic that Alshon's going to play. I mean, he was questionable, so hopefully he's good. Alshon could make a big difference there. He basically would step in for at least Mac Hollins, and Mac Hollins I think had 2 drops. Alshon, even though it's a meme for that Saints game, Alshon is very, very sure-handed. Probably wouldn't have those drops. So I don't know, Eagle fans, let me know what you feel about this game. Like I said, I'm not super upset. I'm not gonna be triggered because I was honestly, I would, if I had no bias, if I was a filthy gambler that had no conscience, I would have bet on Detroit to win this game because it looked like the best odds. So I'm not shocked, but this defense is super overrated. I'm very frustrated. And now we got to play Green Bay, probably underhanded, and it's going to be an ugly game on a short week. So you know what that means. This team that's already made it of glass is going to be even more susceptible to injuries. So that does it for me. I want to hear what you guys feel about this game so far. Eagles overrated defensive line. I mean, Carson Wentz played good. Let me know what you feel about it in the comment section below. Till next time, it's C4 saying, we'll get on the rebuilds and all that stuff. Next week, regular upload schedule. We just had the COD beta Borderlands. I didn't have a whole lot of time to be recording in the evenings. So, yeah. Later, guys.